Welcome back to Reputation at Stake. We are on week 13 and we are going to give our update. I am Fisher, and she is Pepper. So here we go. All right.
So tell us about your weight loss, Randy.
So I was going to say, we'll get right into it. So my weight loss this week was sort of a stall. There was a little bit of this involved, but in the end, it turned out that it was a wash because of that.
But was it a wash? Because when you put your belt on today, I saw it looked like you went into holes.
Yes, if you were to, I don't do measurements, or I haven't, but my belt went down a lot further than normal. But the reason that I didn't have weight loss might be contributed to the birthday party, where we didn't like cheat, but we did have lots of heavy whipping cream.
Yeah.
And cream cheese was the only thing that was even close to being a concern. And so your body goes into some stuff with that. And then I had seconds because there was another birthday party.
We celebrated the celebration.
Yeah, we celebrated. We had a meeting about the meeting. We had another birthday, and the cake was...
We just had leftovers, so we ate them on the second night too, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that too. But I meant with your sister.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Well, we didn't eat all the whipping cream that we did the first time. So we just had basically cloud bread, which is 8 eggs and a package of cream cheese. And then I put some stevia in there.
Right. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. And so that kind of...
you ate, well, you can't count today's measurements because it's Sunday.
Right.
But from Saturday to Saturday, you didn't, like, the numbers were pretty much the same, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But you did lose a little bit of weight, and then you brought it right back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because of, so there's like...
But that's the nature of losing weight, right?
Yeah.
It's not always just a downward trend. You're going to have weeks where your body's either healing or kind of holding in pattern, so that, if you put a giant hole through a fat wall, your body has to go rebuild that, because your body doesn't like gaps. It likes everything airtight and tight, right? That's how we're created. Yeah. So your body could be... because you went down belt hole sizes.
Right.
So,
and I had another thought was, I learned something recently, which she was sharing, is that when you have stevia, which is better than sugar, all natural stevia.
It's all debatable.
Okay. Maybe,
it's not carnivore.
Sorry, I'm coming at it from not being a medical doctor, but with stevia, or even any kind of fake sugar, you are going to send a signal to your brain that does it spike your blood sugar?
It's sweet, so it's telling your body to produce insulin. Insulin makes us fat. Insulin's what helps us build fat.
Right. So here we are eating a little bit of stevia in the ice cream and cake, and that's going to send a signal. So even though I didn't necessarily eat sugar or carbs, the stevia says, hey, insulin. The
sweetness will say, hey, produce insulin.
So that's something I wasn't aware of.
There's a slight possibility it could just be water weight and not actual weight. You don't really know with a scale unless you had they do have a $200 scale that's like 3% off of the body scans you can do. So, they're fairly more accurate than our scale. Our scale does the biometrics, so if you could look at what your fat ratio was last week versus this week, maybe you've lost body fat, but you put on a little bit of muscle. Maybe you were retaining more water this week because you did eat a few shrimp and a few scallops. And I know shrimp and scallops tend to make me hold water because I think they do have a little natural carb in them.
Oh.
So it could also be that.
I didn't know that.
Okay. Yeah, so many things. I don't even think scientists know how we actually lose weight and gain weight. Like, a lot of people say calories in, calories out. Yeah. And it's not always the case. So, but definitely belt loops down even without weight loss. It shows something's going on with your body.
Right.
Our ever-changing bodies.
Did you want me to also give just another reminder of what the benefits were this week that I experienced? Just real quick, I was able to continue burning through many hours of working my job, plus editing the book, plus editing the videos, and learning how to do like art, thumbnails, and marketing or whatever. So just going through and learning, and I can take up a whole day and work till from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 or 10 at night. Again, I said that last time, but just sort of saying it's continuing forward. It wasn't just like a moment, but it's actually their staying power to just keep going. And then if something shows up in my way, it's like, okay, just jump to that and take it and go. And I'm not like, I'll wait till later, like I used to be with carbs.
Yeah.
That's a tomorrow thing, and then tomorrow never comes. Or
So this is like week 2 of just this energy. You have lots. Like, you almost don't have to burn it, but if you need to burn it, you can burn it.
Right.
It's like this, the fire is always on and ready.
Yeah.
And you can use it if you need it, and if you don't need it, you can just go to sleep. Like, it's not like adrenaline sugar rush high where you better burn it or else. It's just like, I need a little more reserves, and your body goes, okay, here you go. I need a little bit more. Okay, here, right?
yeah.
But it's not like a spike and a crash.
Right.
You're not crashing.
Right, I'm not crashing. I don't take naps during the day. I don't get tired during the day. I would say after I have a meal, sometimes I think that's the only time I would say that I even get a little bit tired or whatever. Not tired, like,
Well, I mean,
wind down.
Lions get tired, right?
Yeah.
They go chase a whatever creature down, eat it, and then what do? They go sleep for a little while. So it's normal part of life. Now, I think this week you also worked at, because I forced you, a little bit more rest, right?
Oh, yeah,
We would like start turning down the lights and, making the room nice and quiet and try to be asleep by 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really helped. Last week you looked a little bit like you've been through some stuff. You looked really tired last week.
Yeah.
And this week you're looking a little bit better. Like you recovered very well.
I got some really good sleep last night, and so I need like 8 hours.
Sure. And that's fine, but if you're not getting it, then your face is like, you better sleep or else this is your new look, right?
Yeah.
Now, you were exposed to something at your mom's nursing home, right?
Yeah, so, some of you may know my mother has Parkinson's, and, it's a bit of a struggle, bit of like, a whole new experience that's not great. But anyway, so we go visit her, and we see her in the nursing home because she needs that medical care. And when we do, we are around a bunch of other people that are in beds and stuff like that. So if sickness breaks out in that side of the building,
It's going to spread like wildfire.
Right, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Like, you're shut in there. You don't go out, it's not like fresh air and breeze and people coming and going.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so, apparently we were exposed to it.
Exposed to the big C.
The big C. But I've heard that on Carnivore, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, put it in the comments, you would know, if you are eating carbs and or fasting because you're eating fat, then what happens is sickness has a harder time grabbing onto you because it feeds on sugar or carbs or whatever, and you don't have any, you're just eating fat. So apparently, I'm not saying everything's perfect, but I'm saying apparently it helps to have fat as your main source of fuel.
Normally, if there's everyone's back to school, so anytime there's a sickness, it usually runs through our house as well, because, reasons. But I've noticed, back to school, people around me are getting sick. You were exposed to that sickness, and it hasn't run through our house like wildfire.
Right. And I've gone through it 2 years, whenever it came out, and I got through it in like a week or two.
We got really sick with it.
Yeah.
It was 3 weeks, and no one could take care of each other.
Right. So there's antibodies and stuff.
Yeah. So but that's awesome that you didn't get sick.
Right. So I didn't even notice it at all. It wasn't even a hiccup,
Now, when you had Mom's birthday party and we had the ice cream and the cake, even though it was carnivore, did you notice that you wanted to go out and eat even more, or how did the sugar react to you?
So in the past I would eat Ben & Jerry's and want more every night, but
like a little addict going for another hit.
Right. It's really hard to take, if you have Ben & Jerry's, it's really hard for me to put the container in the freezer halfway through because it's so good, even though, your tongue gets cold and you're like, I'm not really even enjoying this anymore. Yeah. I just want to keep eating it. So there's an addiction to sugar. So, but with this ice cream and cake, it did not activate I got to get this every night, excitement, whatever dopamine hit. It didn't reignite the addiction, which is kind of saying something. because we eat steak and meat all the time, over the course of being on carnivore, I've noticed that my cravings for sweets has slowly waned. And it's a big deal because I always thought you will always want sweets. You will always have the late night, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I want something, and you want to go grab it, right?
Right.
That's an addiction type thing because you're not in control. I mean, you're fighting it. Whereas on carnivore, you will struggle. There's a period of time, but once you hit like 2 months into it and you've not been snacking after 6 o'clock, you get to the point where you no longer have a craving, a desire, a thirst to rush in and go grab something to eat. Now, I'm not saying everybody's the same, but for me, I told you earlier, it's like a volume dial, that craving, and it's like the volume dial of cravings has been slowly turning down for me to the point where I can see food, like you mentioned, ice cream. After I've had this ice cream, am I hungry again for more? And it's like, no, you know what? I'm not as addicted as I was. I'm not tempted. I've got so many other things that I would rather do with my time. And maybe that's part of it, is finding something that fills the void in your life where you were using food because you had an emptiness. But if you're busy pursuing something, that also helps, right?
Oh, that helps a lot. But I think also you're satiated because you're eating fat.
Right.
So you're not, I think a lot of us don't realize how often we're walking around starving. Even though we are huge, we're still starving because we're not satiated. Mm-hmm. And now, because of the amount of fat you're eating and the meat and stuff, I think you feel more satiated, so you're not always looking for that. Our bodies are always telling us if you're always looking for food, it's because you're technically starving. Because that's, the hunter-gatherer mentality, right?
Yeah.
To make sure you get enough calories to live through the winter. But if you're feeding that, I think that helps. I mean, being preoccupied with other things is amazing, and it helps because then, you're not going to boredom eat.
Right. Yeah.
But if you're satiated, then you're not always looking for your next hit.
Yeah.
Because you've already filled that.
I could see somebody that was on a diet that was doing carbs. They were like fighting with carbs all the time, which we've done, and it's miserable because you get hungry pretty hardcore. And the idea that you're overweight, you said, and you're still starving, blows my mind. And I'm sure a lot of listeners who don't understand that would say, well, if you're overweight and you stop eating, your body will lose weight. That's true, but there's a hunger pain that you get that's like gnawing at you, and because there's a conversion to adapt to fat, where your body says, okay, I've given up asking you for food with hunger, carbs, I'm going to switch over to burning fat mode. That transition is kind of miserable for a lot of people, unless you're eating fat, right? But if you just stopped eating, and that's where I think people are like eating, what do you call they're eating minimal, like they're reducing a deficit. That was the word we used to say. You have to have a deficit in order to lose weight. That's common sense. But that period of going into a deficit is miserable if you're not eating fat.
There's people eating 3,000 calories on carnivore, and they're losing weight, 200 pounds in the first year. So that caloric deficit is... I can't wait for someone to scientifically debunk that.
Like a documentary?
I probably could never debunk that because words are hard, right?
Yeah.
But I think that would be so cool, is to figure that out. And I think so much of our sad American diet food is not food. Like, there is something, I believe it's called cellulose, and they put it in bread. I think sometimes it's in cheese so that it's an anti-clumping, it's a filler. It's not food. It's made from wood. We're eating wood shavings in our food. There's so many products that are in our processed food that are not actually food. We think food is, meat, dairy, things you can grow, hold. I would never go bite a tree trunk. Mm-hmm. You don't walk around the forest biting the trees.
Right.
There's so many things that people, chemical compounds, our bodies were not designed to do that. We're not a factory, you know?
Yeah. It has consequences.
It has so no wonder we're walking around and we're huge because of all the sugar we eat, but we're starving because we're not actually consuming food.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, we're consuming chemicals and things made to be like food. But there was a thing you watched on French bread, right?
Oh, yeah.
And really it's the crap that the big bread companies put in our bread, and it kind of makes it so that we cannot eat it.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was shopping with Mom at Sam's Club, I walked down the bread aisle and that bread smelled so bad to me. It was so chemically. It was wheat bread, and it was a big brand of wheat bread, like a well-known brand, and it stank so badly.
Was that recently?
Yeah, the very last time I went shopping. I just walked down and I'm like, oh, bread, I love the smell of bread, And no, it was awful. I'm like, it just smelled like chemicals, because it's not just wheat, salt, and water and yeast. It's the list of ingredients is, a paragraph of teeny tiny letters so that people don't know what they're eating. So it makes sense. The more you know, it makes sense why we're starving. But at the same time, the meat, carnivore, eating meat is just so amazing how it makes you feel.
Well, what I was just thinking was that, the future generations aren't going to know, they're going to have a hard time knowing what real ingredients taste like. They will have always known, Wonder Bread and Schmidt and all these bread companies, that is bread. That's all they know. It's this packaged bread. Some people may have never even tasted, true, Italian bread, French bread, sourdough bread, pumpernickel. Some people may have never even had that to know what other flavors are.
Yeah.
And it's just sad because, there's probably a really good bread, from ancient days, back in the time when they didn't mess with it,
Yeah, it's fascinating. That's a huge rabbit hole you can go down. It's amazing. But yeah, I think eating fat, you get a lot of your vitamins and nutrients. It helps your hormones surge through your body. It returns things, just kind of sits your body back almost at like ground zero without weird surges. It's amazing.
What you got next?
What do I got next? Write a book, edit photos, birthday dinner. Oh, the feeling you got when you ate all that cream. You felt a little different than when you eat steak fat. Steak fat feels different than whipping cream.
Yeah, that's interesting. With steak fat, you just kind of sit down and say, wow, that was good. It's it's like all natural, or it's very good. Whereas with whipping cream, there's sort of like a hyper euphoria, if it's dopamine or what's going on, but you just kind of sit down and your heart kind of races just a little bit more. I don't know if it's the chemicals they put in cream cheese or what, but the whipping cream, you can just feel it.
We all noticed it with the heavy whipping cream. That's all. I made whipped cream, which is heavy whipping cream, vanilla, a little bit of stevia, and then I made ice cream, which was egg yolks, heavy whipping cream, and vanilla. It was a lot of vanilla.
Yeah, some people were asking about the recipe.
Right. So check out Dr. Kiltz's channel. Maybe we can include that because he's the one that came up with his recipe.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mom had a almost negative reaction to the ice cream and the whipping cream. Her nose turned really red. She started having a hard time breathing. And then she felt dizzy. You felt euphorically dizzy, but not in the good way.
Like I could handle it, but it was like 20%, 40% of me was going, hey, something changed.
Right. And then I also felt nauseous and dizzy, like right off the bat, right after finishing it. Like it was so good, but I didn't feel good afterwards. It's just really fascinating that steak fat and dairy fat are not, but yet I don't feel that way with butter.
Right.
I feel like butter to me is just a really clean animal fat that I can eat.
Yeah.
Whereas whipping cream is just butter that is fluffy and doesn't have the milk solids removed. Yeah. So, the milk solids have the carbs.
Oh, so there's a little bit of...
there's a little bit of carbs in that.
Yeah, condensed.
Interesting.
Condensed. Yeah. Blood sugar spike, so to speak.
Yep. So that's what... So that was the start of week 13 that we did that. So up to that point, we've really stayed away from the heavy whipping cream and cheese and all that kind of stuff. And we had shrimp, scallops, and then a lot of heavy whipping cream.
Yeah.
That was out of our norm.
Yeah. Yeah, for those that are listening, like, how come they're not faithful to their diet? Well, it is what we're doing is we're being faithful, but what we're doing is we're celebrating someone's birthday and we're trying to make a recipe that won't knock you off course.
Right. These are carnivore recipes that came from other carnivores. So
Friendly, is that the right word?
The cloud bread came from Kelly Hogan. The ice cream came from Dr. Kiltz.
Got you.
So it wasn't. Yeah, it's nothing I invented.
All right, so let's get into Pepper's update for the week. What was your week 13 like?
My week 13. So weight loss was nothing. I actually put on 2 pounds according to the scale. So that was a little bit frustrating seeing that same number all week because I just did that, I think, in week 11.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating because there's so much to lose. But overall, like all my measurements, I did lose 9 inches over my entire body, which I think brings me up to either 19 or 20 inches total loss just in 2 weeks.
Okay.
I think that's really stunning.
Wow, okay.
Really stunning. I mean, it's all over my body. It's not in anyone. It's not my butt. I wish I'd lose 20 inches in my butt, but. And then I was visiting family yesterday, and we were at Black Moshannon State Park in Pennsylvania. It's this beautiful lake. It's surrounded by hills and mountains and woods. It was actually 64 degrees. So I think it was like 84 to 86 where we live in West Virginia.
Yeah.
But we went northwest, and it was 64 degrees when we showed up at the park.
Wow.
So I was cold, and I haven't worn my sweatshirt. I have a sweatshirt I haven't worn since last year. And when I wore it last year, it fit like a glove. Like
a glove?
Okay, it looked like a sausage stuffed in a casing. You know what I mean? Like it fit just barely. I probably should have gone one size up. So I go to put it on, and I'm so used to like reaching it out and around my belly to get the sweatshirt to zip up, and I pull it out, and it's not even touching my body, and I zip it up, and I'm like expecting to like pull it into place, and it just like fell back on my stomach. Like there was room inside the sweatshirt.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah. I am so thrilled. So that's like a non-scale victory. I mean, if losing 9 inches in 1 week wasn't a non-scale victory, that sweatshirt sealed the deal.
That's pretty awesome.
I was pretty excited about that. It was a lot of fun at Moshannon State Park. I met my sister, and she brought her 3 sons and one of her sons' wives. And we all ate carnivore the entire day. I don't know what they ate on the way there or back, but it was neat to share that all you have to do is eat meat, And one of her sons, the skinny one, was like a little bit intrigued because he loves eating meat. And I think meat is the best way to go because I feel like your brain isn't like slogging through a bunch of sugar, and I think it's called your cognitive, like you're able to speak and fire off facts and like all this. And every week I feel a little bit better, because I have Hashimoto's thyroid disease. So sometimes words are very, very hard for me, and I'm seeing less and less of my brain getting stumped. It's amazing. I notice it in my mom, and it's like, and then when you talk to people and their brains are slogged in sugar, you're just like, hurry up and get your point across. You're trying to be patient with people.
Like you're in traffic and the guy in front of you is going really slow. And
Yeah. So it's really hard to be patient, but at the same time, when you realize, I'm also sympathetic because I've been there. I've been the one trying to explain something to someone, and there's just no words in your brain. It's the most bizarre thing. So non-scale victory, 9 inches lost overall, scaled 2 pounds up. And then the other thing carnivores usually brag about is, hey, carnivores don't burn in the sun. Okay, let me clarify that. We get sun-kissed, and sometimes it stings. So I was outdoors all day yesterday, and I got sun-kissed like up in my hairline. I think the backs of my shoulders got a little bit sun-kissed, and driving home I felt sun-kissed. Laying in bed last night, I felt sun-kissed. Like I was kind of wishing I had some aloe to rub on it. Like it wasn't the worst pain I've ever had, but it was noticeable. And then when I woke up this morning, I woke up tanned. I don't think I'm red. I don't know. I just touched my face, but yeah. So mostly tan, like overnight. And normally usually if I spent all day out in the sun, it would be blistery.
Yeah.
Like I would just blister and peel. And
well, her face will turn red outside after half an hour. in the hot sun in the summertime.
Like if I exert myself because I sweat, and I think my sweat's pretty toxic. Like it's how my body gets rid of the toxins. You know, it makes sense. We're kind of like a pump, and we have lymph nodes and sweat glands. And
so we would bring her. She'd come inside after half an hour, maybe an hour, if you could last that long, and then you had to cool off.
Right.
Like you had to get something cold to drink.
I would get sunsick.
Beyond what most people would experience. Sunsick.
Heat exertion, and then sunsickness.
And it scared me a few times because I'm like,
I would just go in like
red.
So we have a 1/4 acre, and I would push mow it when he was at work, and then I'd go in the garage and just pass out on the garage floor, and then the rest of the afternoon I would be completely useless. Like he'd come home and I'd be like, I didn't even cook supper. I mowed today and that's all I could do. But I also mowed this week on top of everything else. I mean, this is what's so amazing about Carnivore is you get like this fire that burns inside of you. It doesn't burn you, but like energy fire, right? And anytime you want, you can tap into that fire, and it's almost like as you're pulling a log of energy off the fire, your body just puts another one on there, and you don't have to use it, but it's there if you want to use it. So I mowed this week, and the reason I did is because you were working, and then I assumed you'd be going to see your mom on Saturday. So I'm like, the only day we get to do the sit down and talk is Sunday. So if I make all the mowing wait till Sunday, we won't get this opportunity, or we'll be dog tired. So we have to push mow some of our yard because it's on a steep hill. So I push mowed, I did the riding lawn mower for the rest of it, and then I'm looking around at all the edges and they look terrible. So I weed whacked inside the fence line, outside the fence line, all around all the things, you know. Put the weed whacker away, you know, put away the gas tank. And then I think I came up and showered, and then I did even more stuff, and I don't even know what I did. So that's like the energy that you can choose to use. Like you can just grab the log of energy and use it, and your body just puts another log down waiting for you. You know, you don't get that. I always called it pooped out. I would just poop out. Like I'd overheat, and then I'd poop out, and I was useless the rest of the day. And this Thursday when I mowed, that didn't happen. It was amazing.
Like in the past, if she would have done what she did Thursday, she might need more than a day to recover.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the second day, she's like, I need another day to just... So that could happen.
Yeah.
And this time, you didn't even break a sweat. You broke a sweat.
I broke a sweat.
But after you got done, it was like, boom, you were back up to doing more stuff.
Now, I was sore after using the weed whacker. I'd like to get a bar. The 2 bar, and a harness for the weed whacker, just because even though it's not gas powered, it's just maybe I need to shorten the bar too. Maybe it's too much for me, but whatever. But I like my shoulders were sore and my arms were sore from holding it, but other than that, I was fine. So you can't complain about that. So I tried to go one day without coffee.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I tried. So Sunday I felt like my coffee was too strong and I was too hyper. So I was like, maybe it's time to cut out. Because I've heard of carnivores, they just have too much energy and they decide, those who drank coffee, they decide to go off their coffee. So I'm like, this is my body's sign that it's time to give up the coffee. Yeah. So Monday I was trying to give up coffee, but then you made me a cup and I drank it because I love coffee. So Tuesday rolls around and I decided in my heart of hearts, I'm not going to drink coffee anymore. It was the worst 6 hours of my life. So I still need a little bit of outside stimulation from coffee, but I don't know if I'll ever work it out of my diet. I would like to. But
tell people what's in your coffee, just so they know how it's friendly but not perfect.
Oh, we don't put sugar or any sweetener in our coffee. I put butter, iodine, and half.
Everyone uses iodine. Right. Everyone. That's how you make coffee. In fact, you just get a cup of iodine and add a coffee.
So yeah.
Iodine?
Iodine.
Why? Why are we doing iodine in our coffee?
Well, that's a whole other thing. But some people are iodine deficient, and I feel like iodine just gives me a little extra zip right now. I think it's something in Hashimoto's thyroid. We tend to be iodine deficient, and it's just something I've decided.
But what's in my coffee? Is there iodine?
So that reminds me of a joke.
Isn't that nice?
So there's this woman and her husband dies.
This is how I like jokes to start about, couples, married couples.
And the detective comes and he goes, I'm sorry that your husband passed away. Can I ask what he died of? And the woman said, poison. And then the detective says, well, that's interesting. He goes, but why is he covered in bruises? And she said, he wouldn't take the poison. So you'll never know what's in your coffee, but if you meet Jesus.
Yeah, covered in bruises. You guys know why.
I don't tend to put anything in your coffee because you seem to like it with half and half.
Yeah, half and half or heavy whipping cream, but it's
yeah, I think every once in a while I put butter in there. I don't know if you even notice if you like it.
Sometimes there were raw eggs.
Well, yeah, we did. Well, okay. That was if you wanted to go off half and half, you could put egg in your coffee and then you use a immersion blender and you mix it really, really, really well. And then it was a way to ease off heavy whipping cream in half and half.
And you get the protein and the cholesterol and all the
right. And it makes your coffee really creamy. Yeah. But we never weaned off half and half. It's something we might have to discuss if we ever hit a long stall or we start having negative effects that we want to correct. Right. But that's why we did the egg, not because I'm a psycho.
No, yeah, no, I get it. I welcomed it. I know that when you make cream or you use eggs to whip stuff for different
desserts. Yeah, you like meringue.
Yeah,
meringue. It's all egg and stuff.
So it makes sense. It's not terrible. In fact, I didn't even notice the egg.
Right. Yeah, it didn't. Oh, well, it didn't use when you use like regular store-bought eggs that no one brags about nothing about them. I didn't notice a taste in my coffee, but when we use the pastured egg, the eggs that came from pasture chickens, I noticed my coffee was a little more bitter because those eggs tend to be bitter. You know, because they're eating bugs and who knows what out in the open air, I guess.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. So I did notice that because I did try it because I'm like, well, if I can't give up coffee, maybe I can give up the half and half. Like I'm always trying to fix myself and I'm trying to feel optimal and trying not to have those low spots. I'm coming to the conclusion I just need to zip up for the long haul and just keep going. And I need to be like you and just eat meat. Eat meat, drink water, move on with life, you know.
Steak does the body good.
Yeah, it really does. So I tried something new this week, and it's a slippery slope.
Okay.
So I was thinking, you know, if we're getting rid of all the junk inside that we put inside our bodies, I wanted to try using tallow soap, tallow hair products, and tallow lotion.
So what is tallow?
Tallow comes from beef fat. It's rendered from beef fat. So I found on Etsy, I found several actually. Apparently this is a thing that there's lots and lots of tallow soap made out of beef tallow, lye. Some of them have other oils in them. Some of them are just literally beef tallow and maybe a smelly, maybe not smelly oil. So I wanted to try it. I did get scented. I prefer scented, and I don't think it was cut with any oils. I think it's just beef tallow, lye, and a scent. So I got this soap and I started experimenting and I watched YouTube videos because I have curly hair. Curly hair girls, we tend to have really dry hair. And you'll know it's really dry because then it frizzes and you can always tell the humidity based on how frizzy your hair is. And I would really like curly, shiny, fun hair without being super frizzy. And so I started experimenting with it. And one thing one lady said is don't use too much tallow soap in your hair. And I'm like, how can too much be a bad thing, right? And if you've ever gone from body wash to soap to like bar soap, it feels different. Like as soon as you rub your washcloth on your body and it has bar soap, it feels like sticky and weird. I know there's like glycerin that's in bar soap that's not in other things unless they add it in and then they add it from another source. You know, beef tallow is just a pure fat. You know, so it's bizarre that you're rubbing your body with fat and to get clean. So, but what I've noticed is beef tallow soap is really hard to get out of your hair. It will make your hair greasy. I tried cutting it with diluted apple cider vinegar because that was one of the recommendations. The vinegar did leave my hair silky and it felt good, but I always forget to bring vinegar into the shower because who keeps vinegar in the shower?
Right, or iodine in your coffee. You'll figure it out. It's good.
I noticed bar soap made our showers more slippery.
Oh.
If you've like stepped in there and noticed the floor is a little bit more slippery, I think that's because of my bar soap.
That's a nice addition.
So a safety hazard, yes. But I've noticed my skin is softer. My skin just feels so soft. Like it's
Oh.
It feels good. It feels good to me. I don't smell beefy. I don't think I smell like a cow.
Right.
I hope not, at least.
Right.
I notice my hair feels more moist, and it's not like flying out of control. And if that wasn't enough, then I bought beef tallow deodorant. So now, not only am I washing my body with beef fat, I'm now putting beef fat under my armpits.
Does it burn, sting, feel good, nice, smell good, last?
You don't want to use too much because then your arms just slide off of each other, you know?
That's the slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope, right? But I mean, when I was out mowing and I worked really, 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 really hard, I did notice my pits smelled afterwards, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yesterday, after spending all day with the family, by the time I was ready to start driving home, I noticed the deodorant wasn't holding up to the BO. And one thing I'm trying to do is when I don't have to go anywhere, I try not to wear any deodorant. I just wash my body and just let it do what it's going to do, because I figured my body's really toxic and I just want to allow my body to clean itself. It cleans itself through its glands. Right. You have glands underneath your armpits, and hence that's why they stink. And I noticed last month my armpits stank really, really, really bad, and I had to take a shower every night so that I didn't gross anyone out. Like, I stayed kind of by myself in my workshop, so it was fine. No one really I don't think anyone noticed. But I was really careful to always take a shower by the time it was time for bed. This month, I noticed only when I really exert myself, then I notice an odor. So I think my body's like cleaning itself and getting better.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, I use beef tallow soap, beef tallow deodorant. I put beef tallow soap in my hair. I'm not using regular shampoos and conditioners right now. I feel better. My scalp's less itchy. So we'll see what happens long term.
Yeah.
If that wasn't enough, I decided to make beef tallow lotion.
You made your own. Huh?
I made my own. So you can make whipped beef tallow lotion.
Yeah.
Now, I did cut it with, some people call it jojoba oil, jojoba oil, whatever. It's J-O-B-J-O-B-A. I don't know. Anyways, it's a seed oil.
Oh.
So it's not carnivore, but I took beef tallow, that oil, and then I mixed it with some scented oil, and then you whip it. And you whip it real good.
Whip it real good.
Because my legs have been really dry. My hands are always dry. Of course, I'm putting them in water and working with wood and that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I put the lotion on. I was really concerned about smelling like a cow or bacon. Bacon would be the worst. And I don't notice that smell. I mean, I don't even notice the carrier oil I put on there. It doesn't have a smell. But yeah, my skin's just softer. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ooh. So, yeah, that's my update. That was a lot. So, week 13, up 2 pounds, 9 inches gone, and now I've spread beef tallow everywhere.
Done and done.
Done and done.
Okay, well, I guess.
And you're down some belt loops.
Down some belt loops.
You stayed pretty much the same weight.
Yeah, and then it just, yeah.
But when you pull out and you look at the whole month, it's just it's like a mountain straight down.
On the app, it shows, week to week. So.
But no, yours is like almost like straight down for the last month. Yeah, or the last 3 months. So yeah. Let's recap for 13. I'm down 9 inches, up 2 pounds. And you?
Haven't really changed much. I'm still at the same. I lost and gained enough to be a stall.
Right. But your belt loop has gone down a couple of holes.
Yep.
So thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great week.
Yes, thanks for joining us for another week, and we will give you another update next time.
Yes, week 14's coming.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.